Coming to you live from wherever the heck Jeremy wants to bring it to you from. This is Live with 55. What is up, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of Live with 55. I'm your host, Jeremy Hammond. As always, I got my guys, one of the youngest, hungriest, and he's just on the cusp of just his blood pressure shooting way up. It's my guy Higgy. What's good, Higgs?
What's good, everybody?
The real young hungry one though I was talking about is my guy here. Look, Wes, I've been hearing him on the spaces for a couple of months now. Very, very impressed with him. Just resetting the show for you all. Wanted to do a show where I can give him more of a voice, more of a platform. Let him spread his wings. Shout out to our guy Tanner. He our normal producer. He has some personal things going on tonight. He's not here with us tonight. But Wes Key's in the building as well. What's up, Wes?
What's going on?
Not much, man. If y'all want to follow Wes or Higgy, or for some reason me underneath us, you can find that. Shout out to our new sponsor for the text line, Mossy Oaks Properties. Our guys over at Heart Realty, we appreciate them. They will be doing the text line sponsorship for not only Live with 55, but for the main pod, the CSZ pod. Well, I mean, this is kind of like the side chick. Sometimes side chicks are fun, more fun. But we're the side chick of the CSZ podcast network, right?
Yeah.
A little bit. I mean, you can see in the background.
Backup show.
Listen, I got the big podcast banner in the back. If you look real closely in between the Twitter Tag Team Championships of the world, you can see the Ringside Podcast buttons back there. I represent all my brands on here. Shout out to 502 Circle, Rayvon Sports app, and the Louisville live stream. I got a lot of stuff, man. I got a lot of stuff. But that's the reason why I wanted to create this podcast. I brought it back. I didn't really create it. It's been around, but we did the ESPN stuff and then came back to do the CSZ podcast. And this was just a natural progression. I mean, no matter where you look, there's always multiple brands, multiple shows on the same brand. That's what we're trying to do here as well. Cam, what is good in the chat? Appreciate you joining us tonight. Look, not the only two people we brought in here tonight. We're going to go over a lot of stuff tonight. We're going to talk about this past weekend's WWE Royal Rumble. I've got a lot to say about that. Wes, I know you've seen some stuff. Okay, what's up, Card Nation? James and Brom, you lost. Hello? I don't know what, but anyway, our guest tonight. First off, he is the head officiant for, I almost said it wrong, for TNA Wrestling. He is the senior official for OVW, and he is the vice president of operations for OVW. It's our guy. Oh, and co-host or host. I don't know. Are we all co-hosts on that show, or is he the host and he just makes us all his minions? I'm not sure. It's my guy, Daniel Spencer. Daniel, what's good, man?
What's going on? Well, you forgot to say of what the Ringside Podcast, but
yeah. Well, I was getting to it.
But I mean, the intro was great enough there. So I mean, I appreciate the love and support.
Not a problem. Always got to support my team. Got to support my brothers. Speaking of my brother, man, the next guy we got coming on here, I was telling Wes we did our little pre-show meeting, and I'm like, I'm not even really sure how me and him crossed paths initially. I know it was on Twitter. I know it was about wrestling. That's how you meet a lot of great people.
Who, us? Me and you?
No. I remember you were selling me bootleg jerseys in Myers parking lot. That's how I met you.
No. It was Beats by Bolin.
Okay, my bad.
Yeah.
Shout out to Kenny Bolin, maybe. No, let's not shout him out.
No, don't shout him out. That's not worth it.
But look, he is the sports editor at Alabama.com. He's a member of the NABJ, the National Association of Black Journalists, the FWAA, and the USBWA. I'm not reading all that stuff out. It is my co-holder of the Twitter Tag Team Championships, Andrew Hammond. Andrew, what's good, man?
What up, man? I still need to get that belt, bro.
Look, listen, full disclosure. Now, this is your first time joining the show. We used to have a really nice studio at my home. It flooded, so I've had to kind of grab stuff out of there and makeshift me a studio up here.
Feel you.
So it's all right. That Money in the Bank briefcase right there is a legit money. Anytime my wife tries to get me to do dishes, I grab it, I hit her with it, and I tell her, hey, you got to do the dishes. It says so here in the contract. So
Time out. I'm gonna get a full on this one. Don't feel like we should be advocating for that.
Yeah, I was about to say. Yeah.
Well, no. I'm sorry. I didn't mean like I strike her with it. I present it to her.
Okay, gotcha.
The funny thing is, though, you usually need an official with you to make it official.
You
and,
do, yeah.
You never asked me to come over to make that happen.
Well, don't tell. Look, she's probably. Don't tell her it's not legitimate.
Oh, okay.
That's my get. Love you. Okay, she's listening. I mean, none of that was true. Absolutely. Look, really quick before we get into the show, though, Cam, going to the WWE show in Lexington in 2 weeks. Have some fun, even though it's in Lexington. That place stinks. Paul Thomas, what's good? Part of the Mossy Oaks property family, our new text line sponsor. Chad Brocky says his dang Lions had it, man. Let it slide through her hands. Heck of a ride, though. I enjoyed it. And our guy over at Brother to Brother just laughing at us acting a fool. Look, we're gonna have a fun time tonight. I know we've only got Higgy for the first 30 minutes. We've only got Daniel and Andrew for probably the first 15. So let's jump right in it, man. WWE Royal Rumble. One of my favorite, I would say probably my favorite gimmick event of the year. Money in the Bank is probably number 2, but this year's Royal Rumble did not disappoint. You went into the men's side thinking one of 6 guys could win it, and they did a really good job in the last 5 minutes of that, making you think that any of the final 4 could win it, and they don't normally do that. It's normally like I thought at the very beginning that CM Punk was gonna, before other things started to materialize. I even told our guy Mike James about a month ago, I was like, man, if y'all didn't have a game that day, we could get together and watch it, and you see your boy CM Punk win the Rumble. Well, then we got a little bit closer, and it kind of looked like Cody could win it. Then we got a little closer, it looked like Gunther could win it. We got a little closer, and it looked like maybe The Rock would enter and win it. Daniel, we'll go to you first, since you are the officiant of the crew, and we'll split it up because the Women's Royal Rumble, I'm going to gush over because it was one of the greatest Women's Royal Rumbles. It was the greatest Women's Royal Rumble of all time.
I agree with that. And
it had such an impact to it. There was a lot of TNA. There was a lot of flavor to it. Look,
have some grace when you talk about the Women's Royal Rumble. Look, it was by far the best Women's Royal Rumble. And yes, I was super happy and could not wait to see what the surprise that was the TNA Knockouts World Champion, Jordynne Grace, making her appearance and showing up and showing out, not just making an appearance.
Listen, we're going to talk a lot about her here in the next few minutes or so. Don't act jaded towards me when we go to discuss it. But for the men's side, how did you feel that Rumble? Do you feel like it was laid out pretty well? And are you okay with the winner?
I mean, yeah. Who doesn't like Cody Rhodes?
Steve Rummage?
I was about to say.
Wait, what?
Steve Rummage hates Cody Rhodes.
Why?
Why?
Does he even like wrestling?
Okay,
he said he's going to boycott wrestling until after WrestleMania because of Cody winning.
So here's the thing. Steve is a huge AEW fan and supporter. So imagine when you see one of your favorite players switch to the other team.
But Cody helped create the thing that he loves. So
let's not put logic into this. Let's not put logic into this.
You don't have to tell me on this.
It's wrestling.
It's wrestling. It's silly. It is what it is. That's his thought process on the situation. By the way, you can listen to Steve Rummage and Marcus Maben.
That's what I'm gonna hit Steve Rummage with this barbed wire bat.
Sweet God. You can listen to Steve Rummage and Marcus Maben Monday through Fridays from 10 to noon on ESPN 93.9 DeVille. Steve, you owe me some money when I see you here in a little bit. But you were okay. Did you think anybody other than Cody was going to win it?
I mean, there was a chance that Punk could have won it. I mean, and I like that they did something they'd never seen done before. Well, I guess never. I guess it had before, but they gave the final two had like what easily 8 to 10 minutes in that match to made it into a match. You usually see it go on for 3 to 5, but never that long. I felt like it was justified too, as well. And maybe it could have went longer, but hindsight's 2020, and something may have happened to one of the people that caused it to kind of end when it ended. But it was a pretty daggone good Royal Rumble. Not as booked as good as the women's,
no,
but definitely a very well booked Royal Rumble.
How did you feel, Andrew, about the men's Rumble match? Anything you would have done differently? The only really surprise was Andrade. Now I know people are going to say the NXT guys, but they always throw 2 NXT men and women into the Rumble.
And one of those NXT guys was there for a different reason, but we won't talk about that today. I enjoy. I know a lot of people didn't like the men's Rumble. It's one of those things where when you look at the women's, people instantly compare the Rumbles now that there are 2 each year. And there's always this like, oh, well, the women's was clearly better. Like that was, I would argue, top 10 Rumble in the last 15 years, by the way, in terms of just how good it was. But I thought the men's was clean. I thought it was, you knew where they were going with it. It wasn't convoluted. You didn't have any moments where you were like, huh? Or what? Like, I didn't feel that way.
Right.
I know some people did at times because they were anticipating somebody either coming back or something happening. But the only negative that I would say is I really wish some of the guys who really held down the mid card, and I would say post Mania, should have maybe gotten a spot.
Agree.
No offense to Pat McAfee, but
that was
why? And I will say, because I think given, and I don't know if it's official, but Otis had lost his mother either over the weekend or recently. And so maybe that was going to be a spot for either he or Chad Gable. So like maybe something opened up, but really wanted to see maybe a few of the more mid-card guys who had helped really, those post-Mania dog days up until Rumble. That's really my only drawback. I thought I thought they could have gone 15 minutes in the final 2. And I think that's what more Rumbles need. Like if you're going to get down to brass tacks, do it. Just do it with either 2 to 4 people. One
of the things I'll chime in here, and sorry to cut you off on that, but
like
I do love, and I'm not just kind of touting my employer TNA, but I do like the way we do our what we call the Collier Shot Gauntlet. It's a more Rumble style, except for the final 2. It turns into an actual match where you don't have to throw them over the top rope. You can win by pinfall or submission. Mm-hmm. And I feel like if they had that stipulation in the Royal Rumble between Cody Rhodes and CM Punk, would have made that even better, because then you could have like had your near falls and instead of just your near falls over the top rope and almost throwing them out, it could have had some, especially those both hitting their finishes and things like that. You could have some great false finishes there, and all that. That's where I think they were missing. The only thing missing now, and just to kind of go back on your Pat McAfee comment, I'm a Colts fan, so has nothing to do with that at all, because I love some Pat McAfee. But I do think, though, spots like that in the Rumble, to me, like the Santina Morellas, those little things that I do think they make the Rumble special. So I kind of disagree with you. I think that was needed and funny and
for
great.
sure, yeah.
But especially we didn't have our Kofi spot. We didn't have our normal Kofi spot either, right? So
I think the only thing I would have enjoyed about the McAfee spot is if he had actually got in the ring and everybody everybody was still fighting. Like nobody was just standing there. Like he just gets in the ring, everybody's fighting, then somebody looks at him and then he just hightails it out of there. Like, I feel like they could have had the comedy.
Well, I do believe that was originally supposed to happen but that person was no longer in the Rumble. So
that's right. Yeah.
I think you're onto something there. They just kind of worked what they did, but I agree with you on that.
Drew Carey spot from
I feel like that's perfect. But yeah, I enjoyed the men's Rumble. I think the one thing that, and I know they won't do it because they're in a different era, but I haven't seen a Royal Rumble recently that either the final two or the final four, when you get down to the finish, color. They'll never do it, but I feel like that would have been amazing to see, especially with those two in the ring. If they would have gone 10, 15 minutes, just a little bit of color just to add in the dramatic effect. But I feel like Cody is going to he's going to tell his story, and it might be a little colorful in Philly.
And here's the thing about that. I was talking about this. I'm trying to get Steve back on board. He just whenever he feels like the wrestling gods have wronged him, he throws a big O fit and goes and sits in the corner and just doesn't say.
How does he not like Cody Rhodes? I just don't get it.
Because he knows that Cody will finish the story. But here's what I tried to tell him yesterday. Who says that finishing the story means that your story is successful? What if he loses again? It's a failed story.
Yeah.
Nobody said he was going to finish it successfully.
Well, no, finishing the story means getting the title. So but it doesn't mean he's going to finish it in Philly.
Right. It doesn't mean he's going to actually be successful at finishing the story. So, I mean, I could very well see him not winning again this year. I wouldn't want that, but there's just no way.
I can see, and maybe this is crazy, but I feel like it's one of those, if they had done it properly, maybe, where, say, he finally finishes the story and it actually becomes a nightmare for him, where it turns him evil. I mean, like, it won't happen, but man, would that be good.
We like a lot of the stuff that we used to sit around and spitball about before and after Ringside Podcast, which you can find on YouTube, anywhere. Just search us at Ringside Podcast. We write better stories than the writers do. So I think that, if they really want to take this to the next level, they need to get in contact with me, get in contact with Andrew, and we'll have the ratings up 50%, and there'll be justified "This is awesome" chants for everybody in the my Tony Khan voice there. But look, the men's Rumble definitely was a good. Again, there was only about 5 people. They would only let Punk. They would only let Cody. They would have only let Drew. They would have only let Gunther. And then the other 2 people I had with the outside shots were Solo and The Rock. And Solo wasn't even in it, which was a surprise to me. The Rock not being in it tells me a little bit more about what WWE story is going to be for WrestleMania. And we'll talk about that another time. Let's get to because I do not want to take a lot of y'all's time tonight. I appreciate y'all taking the time out to be with us. But let's talk about the Women's Royal Rumble. And one thing I missed in it's going to sound like I'm contradicting myself, because in the Men's Rumble, the only argument I had or gripe I had was there weren't enough old school surprises like normal. There wasn't a hacksaw in there. There wasn't a hurricane. Yeah. Conversely, the thing I think that made the Women's Rumble great is for the first time in history, you didn't have to rely on 15 throwback wrestlers. You had your full force WWE Women's Division just in TNA just flexing on everybody. You had a great roster in the Rumble. You had the return of Liv Morgan, the debut of Tiffany Stratton, the main roster debut period of I should have said the main roster debut of Tiffany Stratton, the overall debut of Jade Cargill, the return of Naomi. She's got different names depending on which night of the week you watch her this week, which program. And last but not least, as Pat McAfee called her, the absolute weapon, Jordynne Grace. And look, Jordynne Grace has been one of my favorite knockouts for a long time. It's been my top 3 have been Jordynne over last year, Trinity, and Deonna Purrazzo, which is with AEW now. just to see in the individual, there were individual spots throughout the whole match, but you go from the welcome back chants at the beginning for Naomi to the Jordan and Naomi see each other eye to eye, which felt like it was delayed a little bit, like they were supposed to turn around a little bit sooner, but whatever. Yeah. They make eye contact, they hug each other, then they beat the crap out of each other. Jade coming in and body slamming Nia Jax out of the ring. Becky laughing when Jade did it. The whole Bianca having her ponytail pulled and getting eliminated by the way, absolute shout out to Bayley. She's deserved this for a long time. Been one of my favorite WWE superstars for the longest. She well deserved that win, and I'm looking forward to the Bayley EO teases. Hopefully that's the matchup. But Andrew, we'll go with you first on this one. Your thoughts about the Women's Rumble?
I said earlier, if last 15 years at the top 10 Rumble, because you had amazing moments, like you said. I mean, Trinity coming back, and and the thing that kind of gave me chills in that moment is everybody knew how her and Sasha left. And the fact that it wasn't, one of those things where, it's kind of a half and half, and like everybody understood the moment. And the moment with her and Jordan, that was, that to me, that's one of the best Rumble spots I've seen in a long time. I know it's like it's hokey and all that, but that was such a special moment. And the fact that Jordan went in there and it wasn't just oh, hey, you're here for 5 minutes. No, she lasted a while. She gave you some belief that, oh, she may be in the Final Four, and just absolutely bringing down the house. I mean, her and Ivy Nile and working with so many other, women on the roster. And I mean, I would say the Knockouts roster is probably the top women's roster as a whole. But, the fact that you saw one of the best or the best in TNA, not only hold her own, but really give you some, she's going to last till the end in this thing. To me, it feels like it's, hate saying the words, but forbidden door. But it feels good. It feels good for the health of the business, quite honestly. And I thought the Women's Rumble was fantastic. Bayley, right winner, correct winner. I cannot wait, because I'm actually going to be at the SmackDown on Friday. So okay. I don't know what's going to happen. And I'm interested in seeing we know how they're going to get there, but they're going to give us breadcrumbs along the way. And also, I'm calling my shot now. I think Naomi gets the briefcase. I think it's time. Either that or, dear WWE, get a women's mid-card title. Her, Natalya, somebody, just the workmanship on the women's roster is amazing.
Absolutely. And I've been talking about that for the longest time. You've got the women's heavyweight championship, the women's tag team. We need that beautiful white Intercontinental Championship. Throw the women's name on the top.
A women's IC belt would be dope.
It would be pretty awesome. I want to touch on a couple of things you just said, Bennett, because first off, Andrew's just breaking news. He's going to be our on-site correspondent for SmackDown Friday. Anything he sees, he's going to report back to us, and we'll tweet it out and give him credit for it. No, the forbidden door is a term, as Triple H said afterwards. Whatever stupid term you want to come up with. I thought that was a perfect shot right back at Mr. the con man over there. But here's what I do want to say, because I do want to give TNA their flowers, because TNA is an organization, and Daniel can testify to this. I've been a big.
Hang on. I got to do this right. Go ahead while you're talking. Hang on. Go ahead.
Okay, here we go.
What is he doing?
It's probably one of those. He needs to feel the moment.
Yeah, he's going to go put on his TNA shirt or his hat. There you go.
Love it.
Yeah,
I knew he was going to cross the line.
Company man, love it.
Brand recognition.
But look, nobody has done. Let's talk about this. TNA worked with Lucha Underground. They worked with the Ring of Honor.
TNA technically didn't, but yeah, you're right.
The company.
The same ownership.
AEW, New Japan. I'm sure All Japan at one point they have too. I don't know. Some of those guys, All Japan and New Japan, they cross over. Nobody has helped themselves out more than the TNA Impact company, and most of the time they have that. I don't feel like that, and Daniel knows. I didn't like the AEW crossover because it felt like AEW gained everything and didn't really give TNA much out of that, whereas everybody else has given TNA more than they've received. I was really excited about this. 2 years ago, I'm sitting there in St. Louis for the Royal Rumble at whatever the dome's called now. They change it every 2 or 3 years. And Hardcore Country hit, and I see on the big screen in front of me the Impact Women's Championship around her waist. And I'm like, this is one of the coolest things ever. Thing I hated about that, they actually announced that like 6 weeks beforehand she was going to be there. I would have loved to have experienced that not knowing it at all. I think that would have been pretty amazing. T. Will says, hello, CSC family. Will to the Ville, keep up the good work. Look, we're going to get to your Louisville Cardinal stuff at the end. This was important to me because I'm a wrestling fan as well. I love wrestling. Been wanting to talk to Andrew in this platform for a long time. Glad he was able to join us. I talk to Daniel all the time. He video chats me sometime when I'm asleep. It is what it is. But no, nobody has done more with what they have than TNA / Impact, and that's not that. When we started Ringside Podcast, I was not happy with Impact at all. I was I spoke out against them a lot. This was before Daniel had any affiliation with them, and they were it felt like to me they were phoning it in. They were showing matches from other federations in other countries. They weren't doing a whole bunch on the TV. There was not a lot of storylines happening, and I gave it to them every week. But then Scott, I think I don't remember if ownership change happened or if Scott got more power. But as soon as he started like being in charge a little bit more, you could tell the visible changes. And Impact, I watch it every week. I love it. But I watch all wrestling every week. But I really enjoy TNA wrestling. I'm glad they went back to TNA. I'm glad they crossed the line, no pun intended, and went back to it. But Jordan Grace, it had been a long time since we saw her on WWE TV. Does anybody, not you, Daniel, you probably cheat. You probably already know. Can anybody else tell the last time that Jordan Grace was on WWE television? Wes?
I told you, man. I'm just getting back in. I've been away from it for a while.
All right. Well, you've been at OVW every week. We'll talk about that. We'll get Daniel back on another week so you can talk to him about your OVW experiences as well, because Daniel, kind of a big deal there. Hate to say that, but he is, and proud of him for it. But
I got to get back out there with y'all.
Yeah, when we saw Jordan Grace last on WWE television.
2017 NXT. I mean, I'm just throwing stuff out there.
It was WWE, and we roasted this pay-per-view from the minute Ringside started that week to the end. Great Balls of Fire.
Oh, God.
Balls. While Kurt Angle was talking.
Yep.
And when you were talking about TNA doing all those collaborations, I remember when I was younger watching TNA, I never really thought about that because I remember Kurt going over to Japan and beating Brock for the title. So I never really thought about it like that.
Looks like Higgy has left and he's joined us in the chat. I don't know if you in the chat.
Higgy.
Good old Higgy. But look, we'll close it out on this, and I appreciate y'all's time and y'all joining us. We got the road to WrestleMania coming up. Andrew, we'll let you go first because you are the guest. Daniel, we talk to him all the time.
Sign pointing. You got to point to the sign.
Oh, yeah, you got to point to the sign. Should I point to the sign when I go to the show on Friday?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Absolutely.
And I have floor seats, too.
Yeah, you got to take a selfie if you point to the sign or somebody's got to take a picture. If you don't do it, then you're not a fan.
God, I hate myself. Yeah, I'm probably gonna do it. God,
I'm
uh,
so much of a wrestling fan, Andrew. I've got a banner in my bathroom. Every time I go take a leak, I point to the sign right before I pee. That's
attaboy.
how dedicated I am.
Let people know what's happening.
Absolutely. All right. Top format. Your top four. If you booked WrestleMania for this year, your top
Yeah.
four matches.
Oh, okay. Okay, top four, obviously Cody, Roman. The World Championship, Drew squashes Seth. For the women, I'm gonna go Rhea. Gosh, Rhea Bianca might as well. And obviously Bailey and Io. That's probably it. There's so many other good like mid card matches you could do. I think obviously one involving the destruction of the Judgment Day is going to happen. I just don't know who it's going to involve. Um, it would be nice to see Dom and Ray reunite for a WrestleMania moment, but probably not going to get that. But those are probably the four. They won't do it because of NXT that day, but man, if you had Mello and Trick on night one, they won't do it, but man, whoop that Trick inside of the link would be awesome.
That'd be so dope. And I don't know why they've been trying to break them up for a year now, and I hate it. You know what? Let's switch gears a little bit. I'll give my four. I'm gonna go the easy way out on the first one. Io Bailey. I think that's a foregone conclusion. I'm gonna go out to left field a little bit here. Not a baseball stadium, pun intended, or anything. I think Gunther not only puts his title on the line at WrestleMania, but he loses his title to Braun Breaker at WrestleMania. That way, you give it to somebody him losing it to Kofi don't do anything for the title or him. Him losing it to Chad Gable doesn't do anything for anybody. Him losing it to somebody who's the next man up is absolutely the move with that. You don't want him to just lose it to anybody. I absolutely want to see Jimmy versus Jay. And for my fourth one, give me a good old triple threat. Cody, Rock, Roman, World, Universal Heavyweight, whatever they call it this time. Give me a triple threat for that title. Let the other chips fall where they may. This has the potential to be the deepest WrestleMania card in WrestleMania history, just off the talent alone. And who knows? Maybe with the relationship that's formed, do we see a TNA championship defended at WrestleMania, Daniel? We'll let you go next.
Well, I can't answer that, but I will answer this. I'll throw a little left field for you too. Here's your main event for night 2, night 1, whatever. Rock versus Roman. Then Seth versus Cody. You're saying, hey, what? Yes, that does is that establishes Roman as being possibly the true head of the table if he beats the other true head of the table, and then establishes him to beat Hulk Hogan's record down the line. So next year's WrestleMania, then Cody can finish his story. Cody can have a taste of being a champion, but then he can say, this is still not the one, and he can go after the other a year later.
I agree with you on that one, by the way.
Becky versus Rhea for the world title, and then Bailey versus Io. So that's the ones there. But I do like your take on. I would have my honorable mention would be Gunther versus Breaker. Now I don't think he's ready to beat him. I don't think I disagree with that. I think he needs to be a little longer, but I'll be okay with it. And then I do like Jay versus Jay, but I also think the Jay versus Jimmy. Sorry, I also think that plays.
Jay versus Jay, that would be a phenomenal match. I'd like to watch.
I do think that plays into. I do think that whatever that match is plays into Roman and Rock too as well. So
yeah,
Wes, what about you, buddy? What are your top 4 match? They can be ones we've already mentioned or just ones you've come up with. You've booked yourself.
I really don't have much on that just yet.
Okay, that's fair enough. Look, you said it yourself. You're just
But
getting
that triple threat you said, like that sounds interesting.
well to me. I've got a argument on that because on one side of my head I'm like, well, that way Cody could beat Rock and Roman wouldn't be pinned, so you could protect Roman there. But then on the other hand, I'm like, and this is an argument that me and Steve had as well. And I know I keep bringing him up. He's going to owe me some money tonight for all the free publicity, but there's no way Roman's losing his title now before he beats Hogan's record.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Like, no, there's no chance. And Steve's the other way. He said there's no way Cody would have won a second Rumble in a row if it wasn't for him going to beat Roman. So that's why he has his transgressions. He just doesn't. Steve was also the guy that after he got a little bit older started hating guys like Hogan and Cena because they were too dominant. You never want to see the same guy win over and over. And a lot of people are starting to have that fatigue with Roman. So look, we have a lot of fun talking wrestling. We got a lot of other stuff to get to before we head out of here in 20 minutes. But Daniel, plug what you got to plug for us.
Well, I mean, right now we're on a break at the moment, but you can go back and listen to anything Ringside Podcast on. Follow us on the social media at Ringside Podcast, and you can get us on the YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, anywhere. Just search Ringside Podcast, and it's there. And then, of course, I'm on social media at Daniel Spencer. And then, we got OVW live every Thursday night at the Davis Arena if you're in the Louisville area, which if you're a big Louisville fan and let you listen to this podcast, chances are you are in the area or close by, but maybe not. But hey, we stream live every Thursday on YouTube and Facebook as well as Fight TV. So you can watch it that way. And then TNA Wrestling, why not plug that? We're also on Thursday nights. Running against OVW, but hey, I'm the Rick Rude of referees. I'm on two places at both times. So catch me on TNA Wrestling on Access TV, whether you have the TNA Plus app or on the Ultimate Insiders, which is on YouTube, which airs 8:30 commercial free Eastern on that if you have that version. So there you go. That's where that's all the stuff I'll plug right now. Tough Love, OVW Tough Love. I'll throw it out there February 10th. Get your I think tickets are sold out right now. There may be some pop available OVWtickets.com. But if not, you could definitely watch the pay-per-view. Go to OVWrestling.com and check out the link. Click the link and buy the pay-per-view. And it's the best $15-$20 you ever spend for wrestling. I ain't gonna lie.
Listen, this is something I can attest. Also, let's plug this new OVW season pass.
Yeah,
you get it. It's like you end up paying like a fourth of the prices you would if you bought tickets every single week and went. It's an amazing value. Wes, you can add a little bit of context here. You started going with this the last couple of weeks. What have you thought about OVW so far?
It's awesome, man. Definitely awesome. I haven't been to a live show in a long time, and the product has definitely upgraded and it's fun. Also, I know a few of the guys, so that helps too.
Well, and just in the last 6 months, and this is largely due to the success of the Netflix smash hit Wrestlers. You can check that out on Netflix. Another plug for OVW there. The production has shot through the roof. The presentation has shot through the roof, and really giving these guys and girls who earned and deserve the spotlight their shine, and everybody from the top to the bottom. I mean, you've got a dude. I don't want to sit here and mention the whole roster. Again, you can watch them every Thursday on the OVW YouTube channel. But you've got a guy in the Iron Demon, Shane Mercer, who's kind of a psycho. And if you look up his YouTube clips, he not only does moonsaults, but he does moonsaults with people in his hands as if he was going to body slam them. He does jumping pile drivers. It is insane. If you're a wrestling fan, Andrew, I know you are.
Yes.
YouTube Iron Demon Shane Mercer highlights. Dude is insane. I saw him do it live, and I was like, holy.
I'm getting like 97
awesome.
ECW vibes. I like that.
You would enjoy him.
That.
enjoy his line of
By the
work.
way, I want to give a shout out to Andrew for being a cake eater for his poster in the back. If you know what that means, you're in.
It is the greatest trilogy next to The Godfather. I will, yeah.
Listen,
Well, I have to disagree on that. I'm a huge Back to the Future fan, as you see my
Ooh,
little
that-
gimmick back there.
yeah,
But it is top 5 for sure.
Yeah, well done.
I'm just
well
trying
done.
to find out when I can get me a TNA or Impact title to put up here in the background to promote TNA. A little bit.
Well, I still got to get me a TNA title. I got these Impact titles, and they're not the same anymore. So that's,
Fair enough.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
Coming.
Andrew, where can everybody find you at on social media and just in life?
Well, you can find me at al.com, just plugging away. Nick Saban retiring at the beginning of the month was I did not get any sleep for like a good week. But a lot of stuff going on. Alabama and Auburn are still, competitive. Most likely both going to be in the NCAA tournament. So just getting ready for that. And yeah, you can find me at Twitter, Aham, ALDC. And I'm usually on there retweeting stuff, retweeting wrestling stuff, and just making completely random references that like 8 people get, and that is okay. Hey, I'm just here to serve the audience. That's all I do.
And that's probably how we bonded, because we have talked back and forth. I went back and looked. We first tweeted each other in 2015.
Oh wow!
So being friends without being friends for that long,
right?
Wes, you did have a question for him about a certain. We are the Portal Kings here at the University of Louisville.
Yes,
we got a certain wide receiver from the University of Alabama. Wes, you were wanting to ask Andrew about.
It was actually Higgy, but still, Ja'Cory Brooks.
Pretty good. I would say. Yeah, he's gonna be a solid kid for y'all. I really like in this 12-team playoff, there's gonna be open space for those fringe 3rd or 4th place teams in different leagues. I really like Louisville's chances, and I'm saying this as a Notre Dame fan. I really like Louisville's chances. Well, here's the thing, man. Y'all could have just taken a little light on Notre Dame last year. Would have been nice, but it's fine. It's fine.
We needed to make a statement.
Yeah, I mean, but don't lose to Pitt.
Okay, that's very very true. And look, there's no Notre Dame hate, at least in my home. My dad's side of the family, from South Bend, they've had tickets at the stadium for over 87 years. They're season tickets in the family. The first time that Louisville went up to Notre Dame and played, I was sick the second time they went, but the first time we were sitting 6 rows up in the end zone behind the goalpost where the kick was missed wide to the left or whatever it was to give us victory. Thanks for that. I would have hated to have driven that far to go home unhappy. But that was something that at that time, that was something that was unheard of. Somebody coming in and beat Notre Dame at Notre Dame. But guys, I appreciate y'all so much. We will do this again. We could talk forever.
We really could.
We really could, guys. I gotta hop off here because I gotta take my lady some soup. She's sick right now. So at 7 o'clock, I told her I'd drop her off some soup. So
absolutely, I was kicking you off anyway. So
I appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me on.
That was a blast, guys. Thank you.
Daniel Spencer and our guy Andrew, and we're gonna bring Higgy back on here. Andrew, thank you so much, my man. And he just bounced on us. And here we got the notorious Vincenzo. I mean, Higgy. What's good, Higgs?
What's good, everybody?
Not much. Look, we talked 45 minutes about wrestling. I only had it slated for 30, so we're going to save the Teddy and Lamar talk for next Live with 55. We are still waiting on our special 200th guest. Just to touch base a little bit for the Cardinal Sports Zone podcast, his NFL season just wrapped up this past weekend. He wanted a couple weeks to reflect and relax. So we'll have him on soon, which means more Live with 55 in the meantime. That's not a bad thing. Wes, we got to work on this, man. Anytime I give you credit for something Higgy says, you take it. That's what we do in the business. You say, oh, yeah, my great question from before. I forgot who asked it, but yeah, you've got to take ownership of some stuff. And then if Higgy calls you out.
It was my idea.
It was Wes's great question, but no, we appreciate Beast mode in the house. Captain Phil Goals. Appreciate you joining us in here. No, that's my dude, and he was every bit of the person in person that I thought he would be. Great guy, great perspective on wrestling. Just you love to hear different people's stuff. But let's talk a little bit about what everybody come here to talk about tonight, and that's the Louisville basketball team. Again, we'll save the Teddy and Lamar love for a different episode, maybe later on in the week. Maybe we'll do a Sunday morning show. We did that the other week, and that was wildly successful. What happened last night? Here's what happened. We ran out of players. We ran out of gas. We couldn't complete the comeback. At one point, Curtis Williams, I think it was about a minute and a half left, stole the ball, was heading down to cut the game to 2, turned the ball over, and they went on another run. This team cannot seem to get out of its own way as far as having teams make runs on them. I don't blame them completely because they only had 6 after Sky went out, which, by the way, best wishes to him. He's probably going to be out a couple of games. I know that's not been released publicly, but I've been told that. So you all have now been told that. We didn't have that many players to play last night. And when the mistakes started to happen, yes, we do need to do an EC, and we'll do that on Ringside Podcast, where we're going to do some of those this summer, where we do watch-alongs, where we watch old pay-per-views and react to them in real time. I think those will be fun for the Ringside Podcast banner. But no, it's just more of the same. You could tell when bless his heart, but when number 13 came in the game, that is his number, right?
Yeah.
Okay. When he came in the game, the skill set went down exponentially. And let's see. I'm getting the text as we go. Okay. And that's we just could not complete the comeback, and we need to put ourselves in positions to not have to worry about making the comeback. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to ask you your opinion on something. Ask y'all's opinion, and I'm going to get the social media to promote this next part of the show. We're going to talk a little bit of Kenny Payne. Is he or ain't he? Is he going to be here next year? Is he not going to be here next year? We'll talk about that here in about 5 minutes. Wes, give us your breakdown of the game last night since Higgy just left us again.
Man, yeah, like you said, pretty much that summarizes it. It's been the story of the last few games because we could have, with depth, we could have beat North Carolina or Duke. We could have got either one of those games, but it's really just the lack of players, man. It's killing us in the long run. Too many injuries, and yeah. I mean, what more can you say about it? These guys are fighting and clawing back in games, getting it close, and they get it close enough, and then the tank just runs on empty and can't do much with that. But yeah, I know Trey had 29 and 14 last night, his best game in a Louisville uniform, which is amazing. But yeah, no moral victories, but still proud of the guys for even when they get down double digits, still fighting all the way back into the game, not giving up. But
yeah, man. I mean, even KP said the players fought their nuts off. I've never heard that before. I don't know what that even means. You know, we saw the Pookie pretzel yesterday. That kind of reminded me of if somebody had fought their nuts off. Shout out to Auntie Ann's in the house, potential sponsor. Holler at us. But by the way, we got y'all have seen it. We've got some really nice new sponsors to the Cardinal Sports Zone podcast, including one y'all haven't heard yet, but y'all have seen the other ones. We've just not put it in the graphic yet. They're there now. Yeah, no consequences for bad play because you can't go to the bench because there's nobody there because Karan's not there. Hersey's not there. Dennis isn't there. Trenton's not there. JJ's not there. I'm leaving people out, but they're like half the team is either not here anymore, injured, or Sky's hurt. So he's not there. You're missing half your team. And to go to Paul says he hopes that KP's not back next year. But here's the thing. There's one of two things that are going on right now. Either he's been told that he's getting a year 3. And again, if you see, I've told y'all this for 2 months now, and I'm going to reiterate it. And you all can, whatever y'all cool kids do, bookmark it, screenshot it, GIF it. If Carter Knox commits to Louisville, KP has been guaranteed a 3rd year. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So either he's been told he's getting a 3rd year, or they are tricking him into thinking he's getting a 3rd year so they can very silently and privately go behind his back to find a different coach. I don't know which scenario is happening. Higgy, we can only see you sideways now. Okay, there you go. Don't really know what's happening as far as that's concerned, but let's pose this question, then we're going to hop off here because I promised my wife I'd be done at 7. She normally asks me how long we're going to be, and I'm like, about an hour. She's like, all right, so I'll mark off 2 hours because we always talk really long.
We definitely do.
And our 15-minute wrestling talk just lasted 45 minutes. So it is what it is. I'm not saying this is going to happen. And people in the chat, I want you to sound, I do, Dwayne. I do think we're going to get Carter Knox. Paul's lost connection. Yeah, I knew you didn't want to hear that. Mark says we were losing to the likes of DePaul and Arkansas State before the injuries. We still didn't have a couple of those. I'm not blaming it all on injuries, Mark. We still were without Trenton, Karan. Manny was hurt to begin the year. So I mean it wasn't as bad as it was now, but yes, we were losing to DePaul. Did we lose to Arkansas State too?
Yes.
Crap. Justin, what's good? Here's what I want y'all to sound off in the chat. What would it take? Now, I'm not saying it's going to happen. I feel like it is, but I'm not saying it's going to happen. For year 3 of Kenny Payne, what will we need to do to get you all back on board? I'll give you my opinion in a minute. I'm going to go to Higgy's backside first. Higgy, what will we have to do for you?
Like for me, we have to
get year 3. I'm not done talking. Be quiet. I'm kidding. For you, year 3, KP, what will we need to do?
Carter Knox, some transfer portal additions, and win this fan base back over somehow, some way. Because right now they're all off the rails. I'll say that. So it's just a matter of how are you going to win this fan base back? I know recruits, we can say it all day, but that's not going to win the fan base back. You got to do something to win this fan base back. I don't know what it is, but you got to do something.
All right, fair enough. You didn't completely steal my answer. I knew he was going to do that, though. I shouldn't have went to him first. What about you, Wes?
Basically, same answer, man. Change the coaching staff and hit the portal.
He did steal my answer.
Yeah, I mean, we all agree the same thing, bro. You know, we all know what has to be done. There has to be significant changes, some significant roster upgrades. Like I told you when me and you, like when we talked back and forth about the ideas, and I was just like, yeah, Danilo, gotta go. Like clear those roster spots and fill them in with better players, guys who'll be ready to go. Yeah, it's pretty much that simple, man. Go get some shooters, maybe go get some willing defenders and try to turn this thing around.
This isn't on the public chat, but on a private chat I was just sent by a notable local media member. We'll leave it at that. Wants to know what kind of sandwich are you making, Higgy?
I'm not making any sandwich.
You making a pizza?
No. I had dinner out tonight with some friends, so I'm not eating anything.
Okay.
Oh, you had dinner out tonight?
I'm having dinner out here in a little bit.
Okay. Fair enough.
Okay.
All right. So Fabian says he makes a great point. Change his staff, get an assistant that can help him coach, which he's got to. Here's the unpopular opinion. He's just not letting his assistants do their jobs. So if he would, maybe that wouldn't be an issue, but absolutely the Danny Manning should have been a guy like a Ralph Willard or a Rick Stansbury, an old head, an X's and O's guy. And for some reason, and bless his heart, nothing against him, Danny Manning just was not. He just like Mick ain't the pick. Danny Manning wasn't either. Fabian, we appreciate your thoughts on that. Tanner says Carter Knox would win him back. That's a McDonald's All-American. McDonald's has kind of been what's won Higgy back as well. Let's see. And he said, not that he ever left. He still watches every game. Paul says he has to listen to his staff more and get a past coach that has done it before, get top-notch players and more structure. I agree. That's kind of been the thick and the thin of what we've all said the entire time. B says Knox, real transfers, let Manning go, bring in a real X's and O's guy. And for the love of God, listen to the staff. I think we're in consensus here. I think that it is top to bottom. My ideal staff for next year would be Nolan at the 1, Rick Stansbury right there next to him, Yasir Roseman from IU, and then the kid from DePaul not DePaul, from Rutgers that's real good at recruiting. I forgot his name always. It escapes my mind. And then I think I was talking to somebody who's real close to KP prior to this call, and they asked me what we needed to do to if for some reason KP got the third year, what needed to be done. And I said, well, here's what needs to be done. Change the staff, land Carter Knox. 2 weeks later, land another 5-star. 2 weeks later, land another 5-star. And then 2 weeks later, let's start grabbing the transfer portal. Buy those very nuts that Kenny was happy that we fought with last night, and become the basketball portal kings.
But one thing to note.
Did this just interrupt me again?
Well, I was going to say in regards to the transfer portal starts earlier this year. It starts right before Selection Sunday. So you almost have to start recruiting then than anything else. You can't wait last minute like we've been doing in the past.
Yeah.
So you have to get on them, and you have to get on the guys that you want early, or you're not going to get them.
There's definitely a lot of ground that has to be covered. I totally agree. Between coaching staff and players, there's a lot of ground that has to be covered. And you can't wait. You can't overthink. You can't do any of that. It's get it done and get it done immediately. Because especially if year 3 happens, we already know that Louisville Twitter and most of the fan base will be ready to storm the castle with their torches and everything else.
It's not going to be a good thing if you get to year 3 for the fans. However,
getting with the fan base.
Absolutely, but however, if that happens, again, I'm fully confident that either he believes he's getting to year 3, or he's been told that to keep him quiet, I guess you would say. Fabian says hire Mark. That will make certain radio hosts. Okay. Paul Thomas says he went to a lot of WKU games and wasn't overly impressed with Stansbury. Stansbury, the coach, not so much for me. It was his recruiting prowess. He got a lot of 5-stars to Western that Western never had 5-stars before. Fabian says cut all losses and move on to a new coach. Well, that's not the scenario we're talking about, Fabian. I appreciate your input all the time, though. And last but not least, and I mean this last but not least, Paul Thomas says, but I do think with the fan base, you almost have to make a complete change, but keep Nolan if Kenny stays. But if Nolan leaves, then I would rather see Kenny leave. So I'm not in any shape going to discuss my conversations with Nolan as far as this topic is concerned. I don't know sorry, I'm trying to get my pant leg fixed. No, you're good, Fabian. Here's what I will say. Nolan is going to be, for all the people that want him to leave because they think he's been horrible, this summer we'll talk a little bit more when if KP is let go or if Nolan moves on. We'll talk a little bit about why Nolan looked like he wasn't able to do what he should be doing at all times. I will absolutely at that point be willing to let y'all in a little bit more as far as that stuff is concerned. But I will tell you this today: if Nolan Smith is not at the University of Louisville next year, he'll be in the pros. He won't be going back to college. He is an absolute stud. He knows what he's doing. I'm not just saying that because he's my friend. Yeah, great. Miss Kelly in the building. What's up, Miss Kelly? Been a minute since we saw you. Glad you can join us. Mother of one of the greatest cornerbacks of all time in Louisville history, QR3, Quincy Riley. Appreciate you joining us. But yeah, Paul, great question. If Kenny does stay, but we have a losing record in December, do we fire him? I think you got to. If it's the same old S, different year, you got to. But if he's given a third year, which I'm going to find out more this week, because some of the information brought to me today kind of makes me think we're leaning towards that. However, if he is kept, there's no way you can let him pass December this year. Ooh, tax season. I need to file my taxes. I forgot all about that.
Yeah.
Higgy, what are you drinking? Is that Kool-Aid? God dang. Well, look, look, you can tell where me and Wes are from because we refer to Kool-Aid as colors. I need some of the purple Kool-Aid, but what flavor Kool-Aid are you in? Is that watermelon?
Nope, cherry.
Cherry.
I was just about to say cherry. You beat me.
Yep.
Well, it looked a little light. That just tells me you don't put enough sugar in it because it looked really like watery and light.
That was the question I was going to ask. Is it light? Is it sugared adequately like they say on the thing, or did you do it the way you're supposed to do it?
Well, I don't buy the packets and add the sugar. I let the sugar and packets do its thing here. So
what?
That's what I was about to say. Excuse me.
You have to mix the Kool-Aid. You buy it prepackaged. Oh, okay.
These where you go ahead and pour it. It's already got the sugar and everything in it. You just add it.
Oh,
okay. So
don't
then,
make diabetic Kool-Aid.
Yes.
No, you know what Higgy's over there drinking? I'm about to cue the sound up. Look, first off, remind me before we sign off, and I'll tell y'all what kind of Kool-Aid Higgy's drinking. Shout out to our guests from earlier in the show, TNA and OVW head referee Daniel Spencer, vice president of operations there as well. Our guy, the sports editor at Alabama.com, Andrew Hammond, was in the building with us. Shout out to Higgy. Thank you to Higgy and Wes for joining us again tonight. Look, Miss Kelly, I'm about to tell them. For those of y'all that don't know, we are here. All you got to do to get this show is to subscribe to us on YouTube. You'll get the notifications. But yeah, Higgy's over there sipping on some of the Caucasian Kool-Aid. That's what we called it back in the day. If you didn't add another cup of sugar to what it said on the thing, you weren't drinking it right.
Well, I'll let you try this first and tell me it doesn't have enough sugar.
I can already tell.
Okay.
Look, even Miss Kelly said, tell him he still has to add more sugar. Listen, we'll leave it with Mom's Kelly on the board just like that. As always, we love y'all. We appreciate y'all. Underneath us, you can see where you can follow us on all social medias, the website, and where you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram. I don't know if Wes has changed his Instagram to that, but you can follow me and Higgy on Instagram and Twitter at our @ that are right there. Thank you once again to Mossy Oaks Property, our guy Paul, Hart Realty. They are America's land specialist and our new text line sponsor. We appreciate them. Look, we've had a blast tonight. We went exactly an hour and 4 minutes. Teresa's waiting for me to hop off here so we can go grab dinner with the Rummages. That's where we're headed. But look, double date night. We'll have a new outro next week and maybe a new intro. Our guy Albert is working on some new stuff for us. We appreciate him. B says 4 cups of sugar, no less. I don't disagree. He knows how to make that good for sure. But until the next time, this has been Live 55, a part of the Cardinal Sports Zone Podcast Network. Cue the footage, Sean.